Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Come on in. It's time. It's going to be, inshallah, another fun episode of the podcast. But first, before we start, we need a simultaneous sip to get ready for this awesome episode. And all you need is a halal liquid of any kind. I have a coffee. Miriam, you have coffee and
Yes.
something else inside.
Oh, yes. I put some chocolate powder inside. Little mocha.
Join me now for the unparalleled pleasure, the dopamine hit of the week. Thing that makes this podcast much more enjoyable. And it's called Simultaneous Sip. And it starts now in 3, 2, 1. Bismillah. That was good. So, this week we had some interesting news. I sent you the snapshot of the work of art sold for $23,000. It's basically sculpture of nothing. Artist says it's to awaken your imagination. So it can be anything you imagine it to be. Somebody posted on LinkedIn asking, how would we insure this piece of art? How would insurance work? How would you insure nothing?
If you can sell a piece of artwork like that, you could get insurance for it too.
If you go to the company and say, can you insure nothing and I'll pay you something? And then if it gets stolen, if nothing gets stolen and they give you nothing, so basically they're receiving something for nothing, whatever happens. Another person was saying they should make a digital, that non-fungible token, NTF, and sell it maybe for double price. You have now nothing being packaged into something and sold for real money. And then people will jump, oh no, money is not real, it's just paper, it's imagination. We are now blurring the line of reality. I posted my last episode on YouTube about Bitcoin 101, and somebody was just saying that money is nothing. It's just illusion. I responded to him, if really money is nothing and everything is illusion, why do we value some money over the other? Different countries, they have a different money and it's all paper, it's all illusion. But reality is that just as we value different university degrees based on who is issuing that paper, we don't say it's nothing because it's degree on the paper, or that they are all the same because they're all on the paper. But whoever is behind something reflects the power, the discipline, policies of the government, and it's all reflected in this piece of paper. So that's why you'll see certain governments, their policies will lead to total debasement of the currency and it will be worthless. Where some other, maybe the trust will hold more. No one is doing it perfectly. World we live in, everything can become art and something. In my days, you could just scribble something on a piece of paper. It's called abstract art, and we would all look at it and marvel in the, wow, what is this? Look at this. This explains the purpose of life in the scribble. You create some kind of illusion of value. When are we going to wake up?
I saw this video on Instagram and someone was talking to someone else about Bitcoin. And the guy, the way he was explaining it, he's like, why would you save paper money? What's that paper money? And then the other guy that was interviewing him, he's like, you're right. What? It's just paper. I'm like, give me that just paper then. If you don't need it, it's nothing to you. I mean, I think people are missing the point about what money is and how societies give, societies give value to something, it becomes worth something. It's not just money, it's what society values. And then they exchange based on that value.
Somebody could pick what you're saying and say, but that's what we are saying exactly about Bitcoin. Why is this made up thing better than other made up thing? Money as a system for facilitating commerce is something that does not live just by itself. Invisible around that system is set of laws that we have.
Yeah.
When me and you exchange products and services, there are certain laws, even though we didn't put them in a contract, certain rights that we as customers have. And then there is an entire legal system where we can go back if we have a dispute about the contract, about you honoring your part. Yeah. Just like you arbitrarily choose to drive your car on one side of the road. And then you say, everybody must go on this side of the road. Everybody must stop on the red light and everyone must follow the road rules. And in order for you to drive, you need to pass certain tests. And then we give you license. That is now our social contract totally arbitrary, exists within a set of law to protect us. Does that mean nobody will break those rules? Does that mean everybody will drive perfectly? Accidents will not happen? No, but what that allows us is to minimize the harm and damage to society. Also, it removes incentives that exist for you to break those rules. There are cameras, there are rules that once you break, you lose certain points, you are punished. There are police monitoring if you are speeding and so on. If you said, but those rules are nothing, that's made up stuff, why should I follow? Let's everybody decentralize driving, deregulate driving. We want to be free. So therefore, everybody can now drive whichever way they want, up, down, one-way street, they can go the other way. You stop on red, I will go on red. You stop on green, I'll go on. And then you say, you see, you made your made-up rule, we make up own rule. We do what we want, you do what you want. What's the difference between these two things? You also have an accident and you blame us for accidents. Why? You are hypocrite. We are here free. Talking about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, people prosecute copyrights claim, which are also made up thing. I didn't exist before that you have a ownership of whatever you wrote.
Yeah.
But in order to incentivize creativity and people investing their time and money and resources in something that is useful for other people, like making medicine, they put certain patents by convention. We say, let those original creators have some time to commercially benefit from those things. Otherwise, if they are not able to commercialize or profit from their work, they will never invest in it. If people start stealing other people's work and publishing, for example, let's say books, authors will not be incentivized to write books. So you just wait somebody to write a book or make something and then you just copy it. So we as a society decided to protect copyrights, to protect the authors. We decide as a society to not allow anybody to start a bank in society, to offer financial services, to offer financial advice. If you want to make medicine, it is very regulated. You can't just cook up something in your garage and say, this is a cure for every disease. What did you put? I don't know. It's just something I found. Something in the kitchen and mix it up and then don't worry and make a claims. You want to build a building for someone, they need to be architects, they need to be civil engineer, they need to be licensed to do what they're doing. So it's safe. You cook food in your shop, there is a health and safety inspector who will go and make sure that rice is kept at this temperature. Why? Why is all of these things? To protect our health and safety. So from finance to health, food, how we drive. We organized our society on a social order. That's why Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah talks about this. One of the core elements of society is to organize. We are interdependent. Everybody is depending on each other. And one of the main issue of religion even is management of affairs of the people.
Yeah.
That's why he says that, looking at the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that says that if you have 3 people on the road, on a journey, you have one of them to be leader. So that goes as a rule to the heart of how we govern ourselves. We have a leadership for temporary things like journey and even more so for permanent institutions in life, from government to down. So over generation, we have created consensus that we need leader, it benefits us, and we put these laws and regulations, every society in its own way. When crypto came, it is true that Satoshi Nakamoto, who is, we don't know who he is, but he was exchanging some emails with some developers in the past and participated in the forum. So it's most likely a person, or could be a group, who knows, but let's call it a person. He wanted to create some kind of a digital currency that could not be manipulated in terms of how much of it is in the circulation. In reality, didn't have to be dependent on any centralized authority to run it or validate it and so on. He solved very important problems with crypto, which is double spending problem, which means that for digital asset usually to exist in 2 places, it's easy to copy it. What a Bitcoin is, it's simply accounting issue in a ledger. I put in my accounting book Miriam's got 1 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And then that's what it means. There is a coin. There's no coin. It's just in some spreadsheet file, there is written Miriam's got 1 coin. Okay, that's what it is. That's what a Bitcoin is, just information in some file. Because we all of us monitor that ledger, then we all know how many coins you have. So this idea of a blockchain, it's like a normal database, but has a lot of admins. So normally one database that monitors things, centralized database, would have one admin who can manage the access. But with the blockchain, we now have many admins that monitor what's happening. And therefore, we now know who's got that money, who doesn't, and so on. But it does not show other identity. In any case, what that created is that he hard-coded how supply of this Bitcoin will go for decades. He solved this problem that government can, on a click of the button, create money out of nothing and put it in the hands of these bankers. He was right in that central banks and government, by doing that, in fact, they are debasing our currency.
Yeah.
By attacking that problem, at least as an idea, he won sympathy of a lot of people. And there is not one government that is really disciplined on this. So this whole idea of I'm creating my own currency that's going to be also store of value because it's not going to be eroded like the other currency was noble idea. But here is the problem with the crypto. Problem with the crypto is you have now created currency that can do things that your normal currency cannot do, which is it can be anonymously transacted online. So your normal bank cards, let's say, it's linked to your bank. If you buy drugs or if you do something illegal or if you launder money,
there's a paper trail.
There is a trail somehow. People have to do a lot of effort
to hide.
It's not easy. People will always try to launder money, to do illegal transaction. With the cash hand to hand, nobody can prevent. But online, they need to really move money to some crazy ways, to offshore havens, to clean the money. So you cannot have a website that blatantly engage in illegal commerce. Even when people do it, anonymity goes. It's not easy to do it. So that keeps away a lot of people out. But with crypto, you have none of that. There is no legality. There is no traceability. It opens the door to redefine the way the illegal commerce works. The same thing that PayPal and credit cards have done for Amazon and eBay. Open the whole e-commerce business. Surge of supply and services offered online because now you could pay online. Crypto can do the same thing, revolutionized, but for illegal e-commerce. And that cannot be done with your normal cards at that scale. So the potential of the harm from anonymity in terms of offering scam products, financial services, solicit investments. So you are facilitating something that is a backbone, incubator, catalyst for the whole new illegal, criminal, unethical behavior. There were some early reports forensically looking at the blockchain, and they found that many transactions are in the Bitcoin connected with the legal ecosystem. And some people say today that's not much, and now it's only tiny proportion. But
there's no way to know.
Well, there are ways that people track these ecosystem by identifying some of the coins that were seized by FBI and others. So then they run certain analysis and they find clusters where these transactions are happening, especially when they see certain exchanges and they started then connecting through several techniques. Because remember, blockchain is open ledger. So once you start taking bits and pieces from somewhere, then you can start connecting the ecosystem and cluster of users and participants. From that, you can estimate. What we know is that you have basically two types of participants, and people disagree on the scale and size of each group. But two basic participants are, one is a group of people who transact in illegal activities. And some of these websites that will have hundreds of thousands of illegal things that they buy and sell. Another group of people, these are the speculators. They're just buying and selling so that they can profit from the fluctuation, price rise. People who are legally engaged, they are mainly speculators, and people who are illegally, they are into e-commerce. Now, other than some symbolic transaction, there is almost no one who needs it or use it into day-to-day commerce, legal commerce. And that's because fees are very high, it's very inefficient, slow, and Bitcoin by itself has major technical problems with finality of the payment that is problematic, meaning that because the system is decentralized, people need to agree, and that takes time. And then what is consensus is what people agree, it's consensus. So people think once it's in a blockchain, it cannot unravel. Unfortunately, if people watch my full presentation on finality, they realize that it can unravel. Blockchain transaction can unravel. Even Satoshi talks about it. So even if you put all of that aside, no one needs it for the real day-to-day commercial activities. Story is constructed that this will be a currency of the future that nobody can stop. And so that's why speculators are there. It's a fake story because it does not have reality to it. Sooner or later, what we constructed in a real life, which is the social order, you see, in normal life, you cannot just start investment for offer. It's illegal if you go in Australia, for instance, and you solicit investment without license. And when you have a license, you need to have what sort of license? Is it for sophisticated investor? Is it retail? Are you disclosing the risk, the fees? Is there a responsible entity? Full prospectus of details that is verified and so on. So all the safeguards, the legal system is around it wrapped. So when somebody invests in your company or your fund, there is a legal recourse. In case something happened, there is something in the background. So that minimizes the risk of any scams, fraud, and so on. Same, you want to start a bank, you need to this, so many things. So since we do that in normal life to protect the users, it's illogical that we will not do the same for financial products and services online. And that you will be able to develop this global network and payment system and have it in that country where other people can use to offer exactly what in the rest of the life is not permissible. And it's against the law. You understand? So if I just take one example, you want to solicit funds. Well, sooner or later, if the government, for the reason I mentioned before, matter of protecting the rights of the people, harm that could be caused, if they put a law that says you cannot just solicit funds without license. If you think you will be able to do that in Australia all the time, as soon as these scams and things become apparent and they gain some momentum, people will say to the government, what are you doing? Why are you allowing people to take our money? A week or two ago, there was this project where a person was soliciting funds, and then after he got 10, 20 million, he wrote a message on the website. He says, I scam you all, now you're not going to see your money anymore. And now people say, oh, where is the police, government? Stop this. Well, nobody knows who was behind it. You gave money to somebody, there's no system that I talked about.
Yeah.
We still now have situation where people can run any scam they want, any fraud, any illegal activities, and once you start transacting, there is nothing to protect you. No government, no people, no society will live in chaos. Every society will eventually say, no, you have to ride. Yes, enough is enough. You have to drive on this side of the road. You have to stop on the red, and you need to have issued license by us. That what you are doing and saying and everything is something that we can verify. This is the issue of Bitcoin, that while they recognize that government is debasing our currency with their reckless, undisciplined monetary policies, the crypto that is anonymous is debasing social order. It creates opportunities where if you want to harm somebody, lie, cheat, solicit, you can do that and nobody can touch you. So that incentive there is undermining social order. Every responsible government, sooner or later, when they catch up and grasp that, they will put the end to it. Yeah. Now, people think that nobody can stop you. And they are so naive. They are living in this space where they think like, okay, so now Australia will say it is illegal to do it. And people will say, no, it will still be bigger than a government. Look, those illegal websites that you download movies from or something, they're never going to be Netflix. Just like Napsters and all of these other websites where people downloading illegal stuff before, or file sharing websites like Mega Uploads and so on. Government shut it down. Yeah. It had tens of millions of users. Napster had, I think, 80 million users. And eventually, once they reached a scale, government said, look, this is all illegal content taken from the authors, and in the interest of public and the owners and so on. Now, if they do that and shut down these things like for these benefits, then they're going to do the same thing for the rest.
Yeah.
When I look at crypto, I think that this issue of preventing harm is going to take spotlight. We already know ICO, most of them are started and ended like scams. It looks to me that you take any kind of project like we said before, nothing, sculpture of nothing, and you put it into some presentation and suddenly become valuable. That's how people view the blockchain and tokens in general. They take crazy projects, they write some kind of a white paper, which they call, that in real life, if you present it to investors, would you invest in this? I was reading one of these halal ones. They say we're going to go to, I don't know, Indonesia. Then we're going to make the huge networks of shopping centers. And then these shopping centers will employ these people. And then these people will do this. And then we will have $1 billion profit. And all of these will be shared amongst the people who have tokens. Then everybody who has a token will be able to do this with these tokens. And then you reach the moon with this fantasy world. If you go to any investor, you think that they're going to give you money based on you wrote a book of little ideas in your notebook and then, I'm going to do this and this and this and this. No one going to give you money. But for some reason, once you put it on the blockchain, that whole project, now it's become an asset to invest in. So this is where this I call mania, because people don't understand technology. They give it almost become like superstitious belief. Wow, once it's on the blockchain, every junk become gold. So we stopped thinking and looking at projects, real life, how we are generating profits, and we replace it by, but if it is on the blockchain, then it's good. That's happened in some years in the .com, and there was a company that sells, I think, the juice. And at those time, if you have a website and if you put a .com behind your name, you become overnight sensation on the market. Your stock goes up so many times. And this company making juice, orange juice, they put it .com, and then the stock price went 300 times or something up. Yeah. For no reason. It's just like people. People are so irrational. People are asking constantly, can you review this coin? Can you do this? There's nothing to review in these things. Forget these talks about Bitcoin, Sharia compliant, halal tokens. There's nothing there's nothing. What you going to check? There is a legitimate project. Which legitimate project? Put a project and let people invest. Equity, crowdfunding or something. Put it in the company and like every other startup and proper business. Yeah. And people want to invest, let them invest. Let's see what we are investing. What will make money? We are hiding so many hype ideas, fake ideas, weak projects in this cloud of blockchain technology and everything. Even the blockchain, it became such a hype word that is going to solve every single problem in the face of the earth. It's just a database, just like any other database. So rather than just I have file on my computer, you have the same file on your computer, he's got the same file. We are looking at this like your normal SQL database distributed across. We are looking at this as some sort of way that will deliver us promised land or something. I guess for me, what would be the ideal solution when it comes to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies is that Satoshi, who came up with this way of hard coding and transparently coding future policies into his Bitcoin, if he turn this toward and mobilize the public, if this whole movement was mobilized towards making government more consistent and disciplined with their policies. He went to create a coin and network that is not a new technology or efficient. It's so behind everything that everything is more efficient than the Bitcoin. Visa, Alipay, whatever, anything that we're already using. So much more efficient, faster and everything. In whatever you want. So the issue is not technology. Issue is that we have technology and we have better technology. An issue is not that we don't have way to pay for online. We already have that. So none of these problems and solutions are new or better or anything. On top of that, anonymity that they offer is only beneficial for people who need to hide when they do transactions. The whole rest of the world, the harm of enabling and empowering that side of commerce, dark side of the commerce, is not beneficial for us as a society. We don't need it. That's the worse than what the government is doing. So by addressing one problem, you created a bigger problem. Instead, if you want a transparency, don't create anonymous product that people can abuse. If you want transparency, put that blockchain, use it as a chain around the hands of the government to keep them from debasing the currency. That would be a better solution.
Some final thoughts?
Some final thought. I would say that if you are interested more, have a look at my YouTube channel, Bitcoin 101 series, 7 parts, where I analyze issues from finality to the myth about 21 million, from monetary policies to DeFi, which is decentralized finance, and problem when the finance is not regulated. These all need to be understood in terms of the risk before we can just easily make claims whether something is beneficial or not. What I say about Bitcoin and all of that is that it's highly unethical, with possibility of the huge harm and no real benefit. Other than that, people are free to do whatever they want. But thank you very much for listening. Do subscribe wherever you listen to us and join our Telegram channel to get notified when we have a new episode. This was Islamic Finance Podcast. It's been a bit of a monologue from my side. And we'll join you inshallah next week. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.